If you grasp this truth, it will bring peace to your waiting, clarity to your pain, and strength to your faith. Because what you are experiencing right now is not random. It is not punishment. It is protection. Let's begin. There are moments in life when your heart feels guarded by an invisible hand. You don't understand why certain relationships didn't work, why doors closed without explanation, or why God seemed silent when you prayed for connection. You wonder if something is wrong with you. You wonder if you missed your moment. But the truth is, sometimes God protects you by withholding what you think you need. One of the clearest signs God is protecting your heart is unexplained separation. People walk away without warning. Conversations fade. Connections dissolve. And you're left asking God, why? But Scripture reminds us in Proverbs 4 verse 23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. God takes your heart seriously. He knows the weight it carries, and He will remove people who threaten its health, even if your emotions haven't caught up yet. Some relationships don't end because they were bad. They end because they were dangerous to your destiny. What felt like rejection was actually divine intervention. God saw what you couldn't see. He heard conversations you never heard. He understood intentions that were hidden behind smiles. And because He loves you, He stepped in before damage could be done. Think about Joseph. The betrayal by his brothers broke his heart, but it also positioned him for purpose. If God had not allowed separation, Joseph would never have stepped into destiny. Sometimes God protects your heart by allowing pain that prevents greater destruction later. Another sign God is protecting your heart is delayed intimacy. You desire love. You desire companionship. But every time you think something is forming, it stalls. And it hurts. But delay does not mean denial. Delay often means development. God knows that intimacy without maturity creates wounds instead of wholeness. Before He allows someone close enough to access your heart, He ensures that your identity is anchored in Him. Psalm 62 verse 5 says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from Him." If your hope is placed fully in another person, the relationship becomes a burden instead of a blessing. God delays closeness so you don't confuse affection with assignment. So you don't settle for attention instead of alignment. So you don't pour your heart into someone who cannot steward it. A third sign God is protecting your heart is heightened discernment. You begin to see things you used to overlook. Red flags no longer look pink. Conversations feel off. Energy shifts. This isn't you becoming cold. This is you becoming wise. Hebrews 5 verse 14 tells us that maturity produces discernment. God sharpens your spiritual senses so you can recognize what looks good but isn't God. You stop forcing connections. You stop explaining yourself to people who misunderstand you. You stop chasing what drains you. And yes, discernment can feel lonely, because clarity reduces options. But it also prevents regret. Another sign God is protecting your heart is seasons of solitude. You find yourself alone more often than before. Not isolated, but separated. This is where God does some of His deepest work. Singleness is not God's neglect. It is often God's preparation. In solitude, He heals wounds you didn't know you carried. He restores joy you lost in previous relationships. He rebuilds trust, not in people, but in Him. Isaiah 30 verse 15 says, "In quietness and trust is your strength." Strength is not built in noise. It is built in stillness. This is where God teaches you to be fulfilled without needing validation, to be whole without needing someone else to complete you. Another sign God is protecting your heart is closed doors you prayed would open. This is one of the hardest to accept. You prayed, you fasted, you believed, and still God said no. But sometimes the no is God's mercy. Revelation 3 verse 7 reminds us that when God shuts a door, no one can open it. That door wasn't closed to hurt you. It was closed to shield you. If God opened every door you begged for, some of those doors would have led to heartbreak, compromise, and spiritual exhaustion. What you couldn't see was what that door would have cost you. Another sign God is protecting your heart is inner resistance. On paper, the relationship looks right. The person seems good. But deep inside, there's unrest. That unease is not fear, it's wisdom. Colossians 3 verse 15 says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." If peace is absent, God is speaking. Don't silence discernment to satisfy loneliness. Don't override peace to avoid being alone. God values your heart too much to allow it to be handled carelessly. And perhaps the greatest sign God is protecting your heart is this: you are still standing. Despite disappointment, despite heartbreak, despite unanswered prayers, you are not bitter. You are not broken beyond repair. You still believe. You still hope. That is protection. Because God could have allowed your heart to harden. He could have allowed disappointment to destroy your faith. But instead, He preserved you. He guarded your spirit. He kept you tender, even when life tried to make you tough. Child of God, hear this clearly. Your heart is not fragile, it is valuable. And valuable things are protected. God is not withholding love from you. He is preserving it for the right time, the right person, and the right purpose. The one who comes will not confuse you, drain you, or pull you away from God. They will confirm what God has already been building in you. One day you will look back and thank God for every closed door, every delay, every separation. Why? One day you will look back and thank God for every closed door, every delay, every separation. You will realize that what you thought was loss was actually mercy. What you thought was waiting was actually protection. So don't rush the process. Don't compare your journey. Don't settle out of fear. Trust the God who guards your heart better than you ever could. Because when God finally releases what He has been protecting you for, it will not just bless you, it will honor Him. And it will have been worth the wait. God bless you.